hear you radio. We're gonna call. Are we good? We're going to call to order the City of Spencer regular joint City Council and Utility Authority meeting. Today is Thursday, May 20th, 2021. The time now is 7:07 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Councilmember Kennedy. Trustee Councilmember Fair. Present. Trustee Councilmember Williams. Present. Trustee Councilmember, Vice Chairman Scanlon.
Here.
Chairman Mayor Calvin.
Here. We do have a quorum present. Item number 3 on our agenda is invocation and flag salute. I'll give us our invocation and Mr. Scanlon will lead us in our flag salute. Let's stand up. Let's pray. Father, we come to you this evening just thank you once again for allowing us to see this day. Father, we ask that you just continue to watch over and guide us as we come into this meeting. We ask that this meeting be done decently and in order. We ask that you ask a blessing for those in attendance and those that could not make it for whatever reason. Father, we ask that you just continue to let us do things that's going to make this city be the best that it can be. Sit up on the hill, shining with its bright shining light, providing guidance to everyone. We ask that we do everything in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor? Yes. Councilman Kennedy is involved with the DGF on those. He emailed me requesting continuance. I told him, one thing I can do is pass along. It would take him, we did action in this board. Something like that. So, having said that,
so, Mayor,
yes.
That being said, considering that Councilman Kennedy is not here, and what I hear from our attorney is that she feels that she didn't get due notification. I too am concerned about the irregular notification. I was not notified, or I did not find out until late this afternoon when I had to make my call myself here to find out that this was an in-person meeting. So the issue is that we have a lot of citizens that really, if I didn't know and I'm on the council, then my goodness, a lot of our residents do not know. The things that we're going to discuss today are quite important. The work that you have already done. So it is, I would like to make a motion that we postpone this meeting, save for any housekeeping things that need to be done, such as anything dealing with our pay that needs to be handled that cannot wait until we can give equity of notice to everyone.
In response to that, notice was given to council through email. Everyone was emailed the agenda within the 48 hours of posting. And so with that being said, proper notice was given to every council member, but it's up to the council, but notice was given. So
can I make one comment to that,
yes,
Mayor? According to Municipal League, they sent out items that said that once the governor had lifted the ban on the Zoom meetings, there was a 30-day period after which that then the meetings were to resume. Having gone through that course and also received that bulletin from them, the expectation was that we would have an in-person meeting in June and we would have the Zoom meeting. Because even though we received the agenda, which I believe is a normal part of processes, it in itself considering the situations with COVID and the year-long meeting on Zoom, combined with the fact that we got that information from the municipal league, I had no notification. So if we look at these as extenuating circumstances, we can say that notification was not given. I did not receive due notification. Because receipt of the document itself does not, in effect means that I have, you know what I'm saying, right?
Well, this is the deal. Every council member will receive the notification at the same time because we're all in the same email stream. So I respect what you're saying, but we also, during the course of COVID, have also come in person. So this is not our first in-person meeting during this pandemic. So this is not an unusual circumstance. We have had an in-person meeting before. So having said that, it's not an irregularity.
I understand, and I'm not.
And I respect the fact that Ms. Canday would have liked to be here, but with that being the case, our meetings are scheduled every third Thursday of the month. And so with that, I understand that she would have liked to be here, and with the things that are on this agenda, it needed to be a in-person meeting anyway because of the things that we need to do. But like I said, if there's a motion and a second and we want to vote on it, that's fine. But if not, we
Has not been second.
right.
Has not been second.
That's fine, but I believe we're still in discussion.
Right. So
Am I correct?
So if there's a motion and I think there needs to be.
Yeah, I really just want to, Ms. Williams, I see it, the merits of your point, and I'm a little bit torn. However, all the council members did receive the email several days ago. And it was just clearly stated on the agenda where the meeting would be held. And that's really my own point.
Council, and it was posted outside, and that's where we normally post meetings. It was posted.
And on the city website.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
I still would like for the record it to be noted that I disagree wholeheartedly with us moving forward, and that I believe it's unconscionable that we would not even consider what's going on here. I am a new council member, however, I'm not new to statutes, ordinance, and how these things need to run. We need to also, and I will speak this, we also need to consider Councilwoman Kennedy, because she did notify in enough time, and the city had up until 7 o'clock last night to grant her that option to attend this meeting in a Zoom or on phone. I do believe it's quite unconscionable for us as is starting out in this term to not give equity and consideration to everyone here.
Mr. Vincent, what is the law about being in person versus Zoom? I mean,
Well, you still can do a Zoom meeting to the end of this month. If you're going to do a Zoom meeting, the agenda has to be posted with notice that it will be a Zoom meeting. And every person, every councilman has to be indicated on the agenda whether they'll be there in person or whether they will be there by Zoom. So it's still possible until the end of this month to have a Zoom meeting, but it has to be listed on the agenda as a Zoom meeting, and it has to be listed properly as a Zoom meeting. Like I said, every single councilman, you have to say whether they're going to be in person or they're going to be by Zoom. So at this point, we didn't say anything about Zoom, so there's absolutely no way you can have this meeting as a Zoom meeting.
I don't think that's what I understand, Councilor. Thank you for that. I'm not asking that we make this a Zoom meeting. I hope that my sentiments have not escaped us, because I spoke to someone and they were aware that we were in person. I just found out, and that by way of my contacting the city hall and confirming it, if we're having in-person meeting. I don't understand the,
Did you
it's
receive
not a matter
your-
of semantics, actually.
Go ahead.
Did you receive your agenda?
I received the agenda.
Okay, and the agenda specifically, if I'm all correct, Mr. Vincent, the agenda specifically has to say that we're having a Zoom meeting.
It does, if you're gonna do a Zoom meeting, it specifically has to say it will be Zoom. It doesn't,
Very well. Going forward, just note that, again, that is an indication of inequity and consideration for us. And we as a council need to be aware of that if we're to move forward for our citizens. That's why I ran.
Thank you. Okay. All right, moving on. Item number 4 on our agenda is not the nomination of council mayor and vice mayor. And we'll take a nomination for mayor first.
I nominate Frank Calvin for mayor.
We got a motion, we have a second or another?
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, can we get a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Fair,
Yes.
trustee Councilmember Williams,
No.
vice chairman, vice mayor Scanlon,
Yes.
chairman Mayor Calvin.
Yes. Okay, we'll take a nomination for vice mayor.
I would like to nominate Jim Scanlon as vice mayor.
Can I get a second? And I'll second that. Can we get a vote? I got a motion and a second. Can we get a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Fair,
Yes.
trustee Councilmember Williams,
No.
vice chairman, vice mayor Scanlon,
Yes.
Mayor Calvin.
Yes. Okay, item number 5 on our agenda is citizens desiring to be heard. And we have one person, and that person is Deanna, Tubby, yes. This is Ms. Tubby. And if not, I don't think she's here. Okay, we'll move on. Item number 6 is any, new business. I don't believe we have any new business. Item number 7, our consent docket. We have 7.1, approval ratification of the joint city council and utility authority meeting minutes from April 15, 2021. Item number 7.2, approval ratification of the April 2021 bi-weekly payroll and accounts payable. 7.3 is approval ratification of the interlocal mutual aid agreement between the city of Dale City and the city of Spencer. 7.4 is approval ratification of contract with the city of Midway City for jail services agreement. 7.5 is approval ratification of contract with the city of Midway City for animal welfare agreement. And 7.6 is approval ratification of contract with firefighters agreement.
Mayor, are we taking these separately? Is this consent to put them all in one?
What happens is if it's all one unless you want to.
Oh, is there a question about it?
Yeah, unless you have a question about the one of the items, then we can remove it.
Yes, I'm looking at notes. Question concerning the animal welfare division agreement. Is this a continual agreement? In other words, is this something that has been going on?
And most of the, but with this one, yes, this is, we've been into a new agreement with them from the city. And with most of these are just yearly, payments that we authorize. But we can remove it if you need to.
No, I just have a question for clarity. One question, it says that the agreement for the services that the city is going to provide is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Saturday. My question is, what's going to happen from, 6 p.m. to 8 a.m. And on Sunday, 24 hours? Do we have a plan for that?
I make a motion, we, pull item 7.5 from the consent docket and move it to agenda item 8 for discussion.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's what we're doing. Okay.
Are you looking to me for clarification?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the consent docket with the exception of 7.5, which was moved.
We got a motion from the second, please.
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yeah.
I'll
She
second.
said, okay, I'm sorry.
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Salmon.
Yes.
Chairman Mayor Calvin.
Yes. Okay, item number 8, discussion, consideration, and possible action on items removed from the consent docket, and that was 7.5, approval ratification of contract with the city of Midland City for animal welfare agreement.
We'll do a question regarding 7.6, contract for the firefighters agreement as well. We will do Oh, just going and ask a question? Okay, the question concerning the firefighters, as I look through that, one of the benefits that we're giving them a birthday day. I just wanna know how that sets out, if we're paying them for time on their birthday, and it says that it is going to be as if a work day that we're paying them.
It's considered a personal day off. It's normally how it's put in the contract.
But the context of it specific to say birthday.
And then, I guess, it would be a personal day, but that day would be almost considered, that their day would be a personal day off. They're given the right to take that day off as a personal day.
Okay, so then can we change the language of it to reflect that and other than saying, we can't change the language? We're stuck with this?
The firefighters agreement has to be negotiated with the union.
Right.
And so if you want to change any kind of language whatsoever, that has to be negotiated with the union. So, it's, I guess I'd have to say it's a little late at this point in time to try to go back in and renegotiate. We've done an agreement. If we were to just say, no, we don't want to sign this agreement, we want to negotiate this thing, it can conceivably cause the contract to not fail, and then have to go to arbitration, and then you're talking about spending a heck of a lot more money than this little perfect option city. And so at this point in time, if you want to change something like that, I'll probably look towards next year. To do that, I mean,
I understand.
This union negotiation was really smooth, it's really kind of rolling over. And they're saving probably lots and lots of money trying to, not having to go through a big hassle. Negotiate the contract, and tell you, union contracts can be very expensive.
Very expensive, very tedious.
Very
Right,
If
exactly.
you can't agree, then go to arbitration. That's extremely expensive.
But should it go to arbitration? If this is just we're talking about a word, I'm just talking about, I'm looking at it from a perspective
I'm
of,
not saying, I'm just saying, to change one word, it has to be negotiated.
okay, but the changing of one word does not change the entire contract. I know there are parts of the contract that says that, if the whole is, am I right, if the whole is good, then this variance does not actually, knock out the contract, it doesn't cancel it. I'm just looking from a perspective of our city as I look at this, and you all are saying that it is like a personal day. So I'm wondering if it's like a personal day, can we not call it a personal day? Just for clarity, yeah, I'm just asking, because I read the contract, so I'm trying to understand the benefits that we're affording them.
The bottom line is, I don't know what we're talking about, think about that.
They may say, heck yeah, it's a personal day, we're still gonna take it.
They may say, fine and dandy with us.
Right. I'm just asking to consider it.
So again, we can't make that change on our own.
Right.
We agree to.
I understand, thank you for that clarity.
All right, back to 7.5, which we took off the consent docs, which was approval ratification of contract for Navy City for the animal welfare. I think the question came after I was, what did we do with the animal?
For small animals, we have a small shelter that's located behind the police station. For larger animals, our part-time animal welfare officer will take them to his property until they can find, tag, or dispose the following Monday.
Thank you.
He's done a really good job.
Thank you.
I'm sure somebody did.
All right, any other questions?
No questions at this point, thank you for asking.
Just a comment that it's very expensive to West City. And there's been talk in the past about Spencer Jones, maybe Luther, other small towns getting together and creating their own shelter complex. I know that's not gonna happen now, but I do believe it's something we should look into in the future.
We'll take a motion on 7.5.
I make a motion, we approve item 7.5.
Second, please. I'll second. And get those please.
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Wood.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Bryce Scanlon.
Yes.
Chairman Merrick Garland.
Yes. Our Yeah, let's, just so that we can, kind of keep our people on track, we do have a full agenda. Let's move to, item number, we'll table item number 9.1 and 9.2 because they go together. Let's move to item 9.3, project consultant update. Mr. Long, are you ready?
9.3?
Yes, sir.
Let me get 9.3. Jim, while we're looking at 9.3,
On the back of your page.
you jump from the laptop to the TV.
And it's not even plugged in.
Yeah.
So, all right, this is. Oh, man. Hello? Dan, can you hear me? Okay, John.
Okay.
represent $1 million city. Gotta look at it.
Ask her if she has something else on her end. Does she have two, a phone and a tablet maybe?
Ma'am, turn on the speaker on your computer.
Yeah, I'm using the speaker on the computer. I'm wondering if maybe you could use.
No, I mean, stop doing it, just use your telephone.
I'm hearing like every other word.
I know, if you would just, leave the Zoom meeting, please, and then this will be back to start.
Okay, I'm out.
All right.
You're live, you can hear you.
Okay,
Okay, so, can we start from the beginning then?
yes, if you don't mind, please.
Okay, sure. I'm putting you on speaker, okay. I'm pleased to present the financial statement audit, for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2020. The entities we audited were the City of Spencer and the Spencer Utilities Authority. Management is responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements on a modified cash basis for the county, including determining that this basis is appropriate for the city's reporting. This includes the design, implementation, and maintenance of internal control relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error. We have 4 opinion units: governmental activities, business type activities, and each major fund, which included the general fund and the Spencer Utilities Authority Fund. Our responsibility is to provide an opinion as to the fair presentation of the financial statements in keeping with the modified cash basis of the county, as described in your footnote 1B of your financial statements. And I'm pleased to say that our opinion was unmodified, which is a clean opinion for all 4 opinion units. There were no changes in the financial statement presentation. There was a significant estimate associated with the useful life of capital assets. It's based on historical experience as well as practice by similar entities. For financial highlights of your financial statements, the city's total net position at the government-wide level increased by $150,923. The city as a whole showed a net position of $900, and I'm looking at page 12 of the financial statement, if you have them now. It showed a net position of $987,168, which included $716,045 in capital assets, net of related debt, and $521,828 deposited in trust accounts for debt service. After subtracting these amounts, the city had a total deficit, unrestricted position of $250,705. During the year, the city's expenses for governmental activities were $1,442,422 and were funded by program revenues of $290,327 and further funded with taxes and other general revenues and transfers that totaled $1,162,196. This information is on page 13 of the financial statements. In the city's business type activities, such as, in other words, the utility authority, the program expenses, in other words, the amount that was billed for utilities, exceeded program revenues by $57,680. In June 30th, 2020, the general fund reported a deficit fund balance of $39,175. For budgetary reporting purposes, the general fund reported revenues and transfers less than estimates of $69,705 or 4.2%, while expenditures and transfers were under the final appropriations by approximately $161,559 or 9.8%. In addition to our report on and our opinion on the financial statements, we also are required by government auditing standards to also look at your internal control for purposes of designing our testing over the financial statements, and not for the purpose of providing an opinion on internal control. So, given that, we did, when we go through and do our testing to support the material presentation of the financial statements, if something comes to our attention, we are required to inform you of that. And we did have some findings on related to internal control, and it's internal control and compliance. We continue to have difficulties with the financial system. There were adjustments to cash that were made at the end of the year. Bank reconciliations were not done timely during the year, and it was difficult for the contract accountant to identify the source of the discrepancies in the financial state and in the general ledger versus the bank statements, and consequently made some arbitrary adjustments to different accounts to correct cash. And when we looked at the system, we were not able to, we saw some items consistently not being recorded, as well as some other items that we weren't able to reconcile back to the bank transactions. So we had findings related to that. There was a compliance finding related to the deficit fund balance in the general fund, which is not permitted by Oklahoma statutes. We also noted in the utility areas that cutoff procedures were not being evenly and consistently enforced, and actually were relaxed in April 2020 due to the COVID mitigation efforts, and had not yet been reinstated as of our field work in February of 2021. In addition, we saw that there was inadequate segregation of duties in that one individual could, in some areas would have responsibility for custody of assets, record keeping for those assets, and reconciliation of the asset accounts. And recommended that the city look at some segregation in that respect. We also noted that there was continued difficulties in the control over citations. When we did a small random sample, we noted that I believe it's 7 out of 20 they were not able to produce. When looking for citations in a sequential manner, and they're not accounting for missing tickets, and there were several other issues associated with citations that was identified in our report. In addition, we've got a compliance issue with the collateralization of uninsured deposits, and the city now is in a position where their pooled funds had exceeded the FDIC insurance level of $250,000 for all accounts under one entity, And since you have pooled cash, your main operating cash is pooled. It's not separated by entity, so it's just one $250,000 FDIC insurance level that you would have for all city accounts that are at a single bank. And you exceeded that in the current year, and we recommended that you look into asking the bank to collateralize those uninsured deposits, or move some of your funds to another bank, whichever you prefer, that works the best for you. So with that concludes my report. With that being said, are there any questions?
No, I know that, Ms. Jackson has senior recommendations. We'll follow up on that.
I have questions if you will.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
I'm just getting to look at this, to no fault of anyone to new here. So am I to understand that we are operating at a net loss?
No.
We're not operating at a net loss, right? Okay.
No, no. Ms. Elfrink?
It means that you have a deficit fund balance. So if you look at your assets minus your liabilities exceeded your assets. So you had, and if you look at it on an unrestricted basis, in other words, the city did not have working capital. And it's also not permitted. A municipality or an Oklahoma government in that matter is not permitted to commit funds or spend funds in excess of the amount that they have appropriated and on hand. And that has happened. And but if we look at this year, that the COVID funds that you received, et cetera, have greatly helped pull you out of that position. And bear in mind, when we're talking about a deficit fund position, we're also including the payroll taxes that are in arrears that are currently, that your attorney's working on settling with the Internal Revenue Service. But so it was net of those amounts at that point in time.
What is that amount of payroll in arrears? If we have something, I know you said that they're working on something with that.
That's a negotiation, so, that's, and that we gotta, that's a negotiation,
So she can't answer that question?
no, because we don't know. We don't.
I can't call your attention to
She can't call her attention.
note 5 of the financial statements on page 36.
Thank you.
The payroll tax arrears discussed. We don't have 100% of the information on that.
Right.
I don't think anybody does at this point in time.
Right.
I can tell you that the amount that we have accrued in the financial statements is $540,404. And but when we looked at, and this was in September of 2019, so it's old, it's not the current information, but we looked at the letters that the Internal Revenue Service had sent, that total had come to $861,188. But the management is trying to get some of those penalties waived. And so that's why you don't have a final amount yet. You thought of about approximately $500,000 set aside in a trust account from the debt that you issued that will, go significantly towards eliminating those amounts. The amounts that we mentioned in the financial statements do not include the amounts that were due to the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission or the Oklahoma Tax Commission for Oklahoma tax withholding. So that amount that you have sitting in your trust account is a little less than what is accrued here. So there will be, we would expect to see some residual additional amount after that trust account is liquidated for that purpose. But until the IRS makes a final determination as to waiving interest and penalties, we won't have that final amount. But it's probably going to be somewhere in that range.
And what I was trying to say, as far as actual amount, we have tried to contact the IRS for, I guess it's almost 3 years now, and they have not, and we keep getting letters, 60 days for that answer, and that's been going on for 3 years now. So to say what it is,
Mayor,
Yeah.
if I might interject, all the taxes, including workers' comp, other state payroll taxes, and state taxes, have all been paid and settled. The only thing that we're waiting on at this time is to get the final determination from the Internal Revenue Service on what that amount is going to be in settlement, and what we are targeting is trying to get a reduction in the interest and penalties. And the lion's share of every bit of that is interest and penalties. So, as Ann mentioned, we have a little over $500,000 set aside specifically for that. And the minute that IRS notifies us that we can begin that negotiation process, and it's expedient for that to happen for us, because there are a lot of programs that we're simply not eligible for
Because
because of that issue. And we have been contacting them. As a matter of fact, right after the first of the year, we learned that IRS had totally shut down. They were responding to nothing coming in. And so we're going on 3 years trying to get an answer from them to pay them.
Right.
We want to pay them.
Right. So that we can move forward, absolutely.
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 Yes.
So ostensibly, if we, she said that we can look for that trust account to be liquidated for purposes of making sure that we take care
Yes.
and hopefully get a great agreement
Yes.
with them and reducing our penalties and all the interest rates. Then my question is, where do we stand as a city then, purportedly?
Well, I'll give you a couple of examples. First of all, she mentioned the collateralization
Right.
or the movement of funds.
Right.
Those funds have been collateralized.
So
As a
that's
matter of fact,
good.
that was done just shortly after the first of the year, to make certain those funds are.
That they were covered by the FDIC.
Yes.
Right.
The other thing is that typically, from what I've seen, just to give you an example, for the last 2 years, I typically find that we run a cash carryover of about anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000. And that is just about every month. And I looked at the past 4 months. That's a solid number. That every month, after everything's paid for, that's what we end up with. The other thing that's really important, I think, to understand in all of this, she mentioned the issue of reconciliation.
Right.
I want to say to you, when I came here, the city had not reconciled in many years. And I'm not going to give the year, but I'm going to say in many years. And we discovered that reconciliations, keep in mind, the city contracts out our accounting. Okay, so it's really important to understand. We found some difficulties with what was happening, and that's why on your agenda, I believe it's the next item, we are requesting that we reverse Elfrink, who's handled the last 3 audits. When I came on board, we were 3 years behind. So within 1 year, we had 3 years of audits that had to be submitted to the state of Oklahoma. That was done in less than a year by Ann and her team. As we've looked at the financial condition overall in trying to come to a place of strength financially, I made the determination and recommended to the council our best position, instead of having Ann come in once a year to do the audit, since we have changed our monthly accountant, let's have Ann do the monthly accounting and then bring in a firm that she has worked very close with to do the annual accounting. Ann and her team is intimately familiar with our finances, and as we've talked about this, and I think we all agree, for for us to be in a premier position. We're off of life support. We're moving toward rehab. And the real truth of the matter, for us to get our accounting systems lined up with our data processing systems and our financial management systems, that's where her and her team on a monthly basis will be an incredible value to us. And we believe within the next 3 to 4 years, you're probably going to be in the best financial position of any city of this size, at least within this area.
So, Mr. Long,
Yes,
question.
and I can add to that, we did a re-implementation of your accounting system. It's actually Ken Grayler in our office because we have to separate that function from the audit because we have this audit still going on. But he did a re-implementation of your accounting system. He worked very closely with your staff and in the office. They were extremely cooperative and helpful to him, and they were on the phone daily, and also assisting in the review of the payroll system that was brought back in house. And he had it such that the bank accounts were all reconciled and caught up for the current fiscal year by the end of March. And now he has it where he's going into your bank accounts. He has yearly access to your bank accounts, and he has complete online access to your financial system. And he is monitoring them on a weekly basis now, making corrections, and has that bank reconciled and budget reports out that are reliable, like within a week to 10 days after the end of a month. And now that I'm no longer in an audit function, I'm overseeing and reviewing his work, and where there's discrepancies, I'm asking questions and asking that he refine it further. So we're still working on that, but we anticipate having a very quick audit, at the end of this year. Probably by August or September, you'll have an audit issued for this year.
Quick question, thank you for that. Quick question, concerning rudimentary accounting functions. Are our staff being trained in that and knowledgeable in it? I hear that she said that they're working with them day to day, and I'm only thinking of, weaning the baby off the pacifier. So is that a possibility? What does that look like? And this is purely, I'm asking.
I'm sorry, I don't want to be talking over someone. It's hard for me to hear you guys completely, but I thought the question was, is the staff being trained there? And as of this last month, I had asked Ken, I said, we're caught up now. It's time to back off, such that he is just doing a review and reconciliation function. And we would also do your preparation for your audit, the accrual types of entries that have to be done at the end of the year, and prepare your financial statements. So basically, our intention is to train and assist the office personnel in being as independent as possible. And that's very much the direction that we want to go, and I'm overseeing that to try to assure that, and I know that Ms. Jackson is as well, to assure that they assume those responsibilities, and they're doing a fantastic job. I have to say, they're just being very, very attentive and alert and responsive. So we're not having any issues in that regard.
And let me just say that I'm not asking that question because of the I foresee lack of potential in our staff. I've run through them, by them at small occasions, and they are as capable as anyone. I'm thinking just for going forward, just for the city, and moving and training forward as we grow and build. So just want to make it clear.
Just a real quick comment. One of the key components of bringing Ann into the monthly accounting world is the issue of sustainability. And I've got to be straight up with you. When I arrived on the scene, we had the worst turnover rate of any community that I've ever been involved in. There was not an area in this building where we had duty experts on board. I will tell you, within the last year, has been the highest level of stability that I've seen with our employees since I've been working with the community. And I'll tell you, I really compliment because they're hungry to learn. One of the problems when you bring new people on board, they have to have the training.
Right.
On our utility system, we did not even have a training component built into our utility system. Well, you do now. So you can't expect to bring people in here and just say, here, figure it out. Because we're dealing with some highly complex, very technical issues in municipal counting, and Ann will confirm this. Municipal counting is totally different than any other type of accounting, because you've got the feds involved, you've got the state involved, you've got audits involved. I've often said, even though you may have local issues, I will guarantee you your accounting and the accountability that you have to give on the finances of this city are higher than any entity, schools and cities, of any commercial entity. So sustainability was the key, in my mind, in stabilizing and starting us to move to a position of strength in our financial systems. And I know Ann's on the phone, and I tell you, I've worked with a lot of auditors over the years, and she's the best of the best, and has a true care and concern for this city to get us in a position of strength.
Excellent. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. L. Frank. We appreciate you. Thanks so much.
Sure.
All right.
Sure, my pleasure.
All right, thank you. I'll take a motion for 9.1 to approve the audit from L. Frank and Associates for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2020.
I make a motion to approve agenda item 9.1.
Motion and a second, please. Second. Go ahead.
I'll second.
Motion and a second, vote please.
Trustee Councilmember Fair,
Yes.
trustee Councilmember Williams,
Abstain?
Vice Chairman Vice Chairman,
Yes.
Chairman Mayor Kelly.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, 3 years ago, we were in such dire straits. I mean, I don't know, it was just bad. We were talking bankruptcy, can we get a loan on the building, as collateral? All that's turned around now. And it just keeps going up. It's looking good.
Thank you. Okay, 9 point, thank you. Okay. All right. 9.2, discussion and approval of Hinkle and Company as auditor. I think that was kind of discussed here, and that's just to bring the new auditors in and yourself and move into the accounting function. Can I get a motion, please?
I'll motion, 9.2 be approved for, Hinkle and Company as auditors.
Second, please.
I second the motion.
Yeah, motion and second, can I get a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Fair,
Yes.
trustee Councilmember Williams,
Abstain?
Vice Chairman Vice Chairman,
Yes.
Chairman Mayor Kelly.
Yes. 9.3, this Friday consultant update. Mr. Long, we finally got to you.
Thank you. At my age, it's good to be anywhere. at any time. Item number 8, ODEQ, Sunset Cleanup. For your information, we're nearing the end of that project. We have the signs, they're out here in the hallway. I've talked to Takesha, she'll be working with Public Works to get those signs placed on the property. And for your information, this is an $18,000 grant. It's the first grant that's been received by the city to go in and actually clean up a piece of property that was literally a landfill and used as a landfill, and people being charged to use it as a landfill in our city. And it was a bad situation. This is a two-phase project. Once we get the initial surface cleaned, then we're going to go back and we'll probably apply for another grant, because in all likelihood, there's probably some underground debris that's been deposited on that site that will require cleanup as well. But in talking to ODEQ, they felt, and I agreed totally, our best position, let's aesthetically get it cleaned up so we have a nice looking neighborhood. And the people, we have a new house building right there, being built right there along that site. So I know the contractor is very, very near. Inclement weather has kind of been a problem over the last 2 or 3 weeks finishing it, but it will be finished. And once that's finished, then we'll be submitting the invoice to ODEQ for payment. The next item is IQC.
Question.
Yes.
What type of hazardous materials did they find? Anything particularly bad?
Because it was strictly a surface cleanup, building materials, furniture, sheetrock, 2x4s, basically construction type material. Instead of going and paying at the landfill to dump, they were going out here and dumping their construction materials. So it's worked out well on with all parties. Sadly, in this whole process, the property owner passed, so it's been a difficult situation for the family as well. But they've been working, they've been very, very good at working with us, and they want it cleaned up as much as the neighbors want it cleaned up. But to me, the most exciting thing about this project, it is literally the first that ODEQ has put money into the city of Spencer, and they don't do that often. Let me just say that. That's kind of rare. But they were intimately aware of what was happening out there, so that made it a little bit easier to get them to approve it. Anything else on that? IQC, Vision 23, we're rounding the corner on that project, nearing completion. And for your information, what that is, it's a rebranding of 23rd Street, a collaboration with City of Midwest City, and working with them and doing something dynamic on 23rd from Midwest Boulevard to Post, and also in the incorporation into the county as we go further east.
So starting at Sooner Road.
Yeah, that would incorporate the county's portion into it, and getting them to also recognize this total project and getting their buy-in as well. But what this would do, it had, through the collaboration, we would mirror ordinances. We would work with Midwest City. They would work with us. We would do what we could do in the code enforcement end of this whole project. We would look at the potential of sidewalks. We would look at the beautification of 23rd Street. We'd look at the signage. We would look at, they've looked at traffic patterns. They've looked at traffic hazards. They've looked at ingress, egress, and we've had about 23 students working with us on this project. And I want to tell you, they have done an incredible job. As a matter of fact, one of the things that they will be doing, they're going to be working with the chamber and do a collaboration, because that was a part of this whole project. Midwest City Chamber, Spencer Chamber, City of Spencer, City of Midwest City. And they're going to be coming in and making a presentation to our people, Midwest City, Spencer and Spencer Chamber. And from that, then we're going to set strategy because there's a survey that goes along with this. We want to know what the business owners on 23rd Street, what they're looking for. So their input is absolutely essential and critical on this, in this whole process. Once that survey goes out, once the education process begins, then it will go through the planning commission, and then it will come to you for final adoption. And one of the processes in that, we believe the best approach to this, since we have not had a long-range plan update in many years, that this will be a sub-portion of the long-range plan. So in other words, we're not waiting to get the long-range plan updated before we go ahead and proceed with the implementation of the Vision 23 project. So it's a really exciting project. This was by grant. We were one of the few cities in the state of Oklahoma that was authorized to proceed with the grant, working with University of Oklahoma and their planning department and the city of Midwest City. One of the very interesting aspects of this, when the mayor and I had the opportunity to go to the city of Midwest City, and as we visited with them and talked about the potential of collaboration, we walked out the door and the administrative assistant, the city manager, pulled me aside and said, you know, I really want to come in, Spencer. She says, I've been here about 17 years, and this is the first time there's been a collaboration between these two communities, and we have so much in common. We have so many needs that we need to work together on, and that's one of the key points as all of the evaluators looked at on this project and determined, wow, this is a very unique collaboration between a large city and a small city, and that's how we, quite frankly, were approved on this project. One of the things you're going to find very interesting, there is an incredible amount of demographic data that will be of absolute interest to you. Things that are happening or not happening in Midwest City versus things that are happening on our side of the street. I'll just kind of throw this out there. There's a major industry getting ready to locate just across the street from the county barn on the Midwest City track. And that's the kind of collaboration of working together, because here's the reality. That's going to employ a lot of people from this city. It's a jobs-driven project. And there's also another industry that they're looking at as well. We have our housing project here. That's going to be a major project for us as well. So there's just a lot of good things that are developing around this IQC. The most important part of that, and I'll close with this, anytime that you go out and you get a grant and you spend the time and effort, because we've been about 9-10 months on this project, the problem is always, especially in smaller communities, you get the study, you get the results of the study, and guess where it ends up? On a shelf, collecting dust. So again, sustainability. I talked to the professor at the University of Oklahoma. I said, look, let's collaborate. Let's develop a program where we can work with you, and you bring the best and brightest students into this city to work with us as interns to oversee the consummation of this vision project, and to help us and work with us in planning and zoning and all of those things that make this thing work, that keeps the dust off of the reports that are coming out. And they were very excited about that, and Shamia will be talking a little bit more to you about that in the days ahead. But just a lot of really good things, I'm telling you, are coming your way from the University of Oklahoma that's going to be a tremendous asset to us in the days ahead.
Thank you, Chris. One quick comment. One of the things we're looking at, there's going to be a district. I always think of the Paseo district, but there's also the Asian district on Classen. Just that sort of a concept. The signage will end up, the style of signs, the way they look, the way they read will reflect the branding that we in Midwest City choose to give it. they're wanting to capture the historical parts of the way this town developed in Midwest City. And we're gonna be reaching out for ideas that people have. We'll be talking with the Historical Society, and of course with the chamber, the business owners, and the general public. We want everybody to have a stake in this.
All right, moving on. 9.4, discussion and approval of change order number 1 to smart meter project to add commercial meter at a cost of $59,629.50.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
58,000, I'm sorry.
As you recall, almost 2 years ago, as we all know, we had a serious meter problem in this community. Because the meter problem and the accounting system and the billing system was a train wreck, just to be very candid. At that time, we had over roughly $1 million in arrears in utility bills. And as you well know, we developed a plan to help the citizens because we were realistic and we knew, because water hadn't been turned off, citizens had not been forced to pay. It was just ignored. And many of those ended up with $10,000, $16,000, $20,000 utility bills, and it is absolutely unreasonable on our part, through our neglect, to force the issue. So you came up with a plan, a very workable plan, and it's still being worked today with our customers. And it's absolutely been a success in getting our utility billing system turned around. One of the problems, and I'll just be very candid and upfront, and we've read meters from the parking lot at Walmart, sitting in the truck, and on and on and on. And we know and knew that something had to be done to address this, because again, we could not keep meter readers. Could not. So the council authorized Core and Main to put together a program, and we budgeted for it, and we budgeted $650,000 to replace every meter in this city, automate the system, have a backup automation system. That has taken place. 1,100 plus meters have been installed to date. We projected 1,400 meters. Now that'll be important because I'm going to come back to that. But as we've been changing out meters, we have found many meters that people were getting water and not connected to our system. We found many of those. That has been eliminated and is in the process of being eliminated. We found about 20 meters that needed curb stocks and leaks in the meter box repaired. That is being done. We are changing out meter boxes and meter lids. All of the antennas have been installed on the towers. The system is about 50% operational. Within 2 weeks, we will be completely finished with this project and ready to turn it on. Now, this system it'll tell you if you have a leak in your house, it'll instantly flag. If you've got a water problem anywhere between that meter and your house, that system is going to flag it and tell them here at City Hall, and we can dispatch somebody out there to be in contact and work with the customer on an issue. Those meters redirect to the computer system. In the event of a power failure, we have a backup system that the driver can literally get in the pickup, drive down the street, and that device will pick up every meter that he passes by. We found meters we didn't even know we had. So this inventory has been an incredible value to the city to finally get a handle on our utility system. Now, here's where we are tonight. We estimated 1,400 meters. 1,100 at $250 each is what we're not going to spend on residential meters. That totals $47,000, $46,000 approximate. Got it right here. It totals $42,835. The only remaining component of this project is our commercial meters. Now, why are we talking about commercial meters tonight? Because commercial meters are expensive. And we wanted to concentrate and make absolutely certain every residential meter was installed and functional before we started the commercial side of the meters. To equip every commercial site in this community, we're looking at a total of $58,000. So you're looking at a difference between $58,000 and $42,000, and that is the difference that you'll pay for your commercial meters. The total project was $495,000. We budgeted $650,000. So you got plenty of revenue to finish the entire system and have commercial and residential for the difference between $58,000 and $42,000, which is not much. So we're asking tonight that the council approve and authorize change order number 1 in the amount of $58,000, $58,629.50 to purchase all the commercial meters to finish the project, and we are good to go.
Okay, motion.
When I started 4 years ago, I was asking people, I was trying to find out what the real problems were. The number one complaint was inaccurate utility billing. People would say, how's my bill go from $50 one month to $120 the next, and there seems to be no rhyme or reason. And that was nonstop over the years. This is a really, really big thing. At least we can offer accurate, up to the minute billing. The new billing system, the way it works, the way it registers leaks, all of it is we're seeing. So I'm going to work with Ms. Jackson. We're going to take a video of it, kind of do it through a demo, so that our residents know what's happening, how it works, what it can do, what the potentials are, and we'll get that posted on the city website hopefully within the next few weeks.
One of the things, Councilman, that I have endeavored to do is talk to the field crews, the installers, and the most common, they're excited about these new meters. Believe it or not, they are excited because the very comments that they make, well, we never believed the readings to begin with. We didn't trust the readings. We didn't know if whether it was being read or not being read. So at least we'll have the assurance we're eliminating the middleman and going directly to the system. So they're the ones that they've talked to are very excited about it. The other thing, just so you'll be aware, because of the COVID restrictions changing. I do believe the utility department has reinitiated the cutoff policy
That actually starts July.
in July. In July, they'll reinitiate the cutoff policy for non-payment.
I make a motion to approve agenda item 9.4, change order number 1.
We have a motion, have a second, please. We have a motion and a second, vote please.
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams.
Abstain.
Vice Chairman Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Chairman Ray Calvin.
Yes. Item 9.5, discussion and approval for a food truck event for City of Spencer, June 25, 2021.
As you will see on the next few items, when I was hired, I came in as a community outreach specialist and director. And part of what I was held responsible for and asked to do was create some activities that would allow the citizens to feel valued again and get them a reason to get out and socialize with one another, and also to try to create some some revenue-driven things. And so one of the things that I was told by just some folks is that a food truck Friday would be cool, which we will be able to get vendor fees and then also sales tax. But I also just thought that it would be a really cool thing for us to have out in Spencer, since we don't really get those type of activities. So that's it.
Questions?
Where will it be held?
Our goal is to hold it at this park behind City Hall. One of the things that we're waiting on is the rest of the tree limb removal. And so we pushed it to June 25th, but if those things are not done in a timely fashion, then it is possible that we will have to get a new date.
Yeah, we're like, what type of food?
Well, you guys, if you, and on the side note, if you all know food trucks that you think will be willing to come out here, please send them my way. I'd be more than happy to get with them.
Take a motion, please.
Motion that we approve, item 9.5 for the food truck.
Okay, got a motion and a second, can I have a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Chairman Ray Calvin.
Yes. Item 9.6, discussion and approval to work with Oklahoma County Health Department to offer vaccination for back-to-school students in the Spencer area.
This again, when I came in, I brought in some partnerships and relationships that I already had in my roles before, and I just thought, you know, why not bring the resources to an under-resourced community? So when one of my colleagues got wind that I was out here, she said that she had been working diligently trying to just get a contact with OKCPS or with Spencer, that they wanted to focus on Spencer directly because the numbers had been so low as far as, I don't know, vaccinations or whatnot. So they just asked if they could come and focus on Spencer students specifically, and maybe create a hub out here in Spencer that the kids could come to, as opposed to having families or parents having to drive outside of this area. So the goal is to find one safe hub to allow students and parents to come into to just get vaccinations for the school year.
Would it be doing something like similar what they did back in March and May?
Absolutely, when they did the hub up at Star Spencer, yes ma'am. Now, we're not sure if we'll be able to use Star Spencer as that hub, but that was their initial, that was the initial request, yes ma'am.
Take a motion, please.
I motion that we approve 9.6.
It's 6, yes ma'am.
9.6 for the Oklahoma County Health Department vaccination hub.
Got a motion and a second, please.
I second the motion.
Got a motion and a second, can I have a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams.
Abstain.
Vice Chairman Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Chairman Ray Calvin.
Yes. 9.7, discussion and approval to work with MR to provide transportation to seniors at Roscoe W. Senior Living Center residents twice a month.
This is actually for all seniors, who don't have access to to healthy foods. Oklahoma City Councilwoman Nikki Nice reached out to me and, talked with me about her relationship with Embark and saying that they were still offering shuttle services, for folks who don't have access to, a grocery store or to healthy food, and asked if there was any areas out here that might be willing or might be interested in taking advantage of that shuttle service, which would go to Walmart and to Walgreens for grocery shopping and or I guess medicine or things like that. But anyway, it was just again another relationship that I brought over with Councilwoman Nikki Nice, who has the relationship with Embark, and they just want to know how they can help. And so they've offered the shuttle service for any seniors who are out in this area, but the pickup and drop off would be at Roscoe Branch.
And this is free?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely free, absolutely free.
Free to the city as well?
The entire city, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Any other questions from the council?
Take motion, please.
One question, when does this start?
Well, I told her that I didn't want to put a date on here until after I talked with you guys about it. But Embark is ready to start now, so we could get this going in July. May, June. My months are all over the place.
So I make a motion to approve the 9.7, discussion regarding Embark transportation for seniors.
I got a motion, can I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second, can I get a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Shannon.
Yes.
Chairman Mayor Calvin.
Yes, 9.8, discussion and approval to order nameplates for the candidate with the fear and Tiny Williams for approximately $50 for all 3 nameplates. Can I get a motion, please?
These are all three.
All total for each.
It says $50 for all. Yeah.
For all three collectively.
Can you match our existing ones?
Yes.
Good.
Try to make it as uniform as possible for y'all.
Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to approve 9.8 nameplates.
Motion, and a second.
Second.
Trustee Councilmember Fair.
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Vice Chairman Shannon.
Yes.
Chairman Mayor Calvin.
Yes. We're down to 9.9, discussion and approval for code of conduct. And what that is this, in our present environment, from the national stage to state and even to local, we have seen a lack of civility, to put it mildly. And what this code of conduct does is just ask everyone that's a city official, whether you're council, you're on planning, or any other board, that you just treat everybody with respect, you know, and just be civil. I think it's important that we know that as city officials, whether we're council or any other official, that our actions are being noticed. We are in a forward motion, and it's just the code of conduct is just asking us to, at the very core of it, is just remember the golden rule: treat people the way you want to be treated. We treat people the way you want to be treated. But also at the same time, there's a component in there about social media. It's not taking away anyone's right to have social media, but what has happened in this city's past is there has been instances where the city's been held responsible for others' actions. I'll put it that way. And so all this is saying, hey, look, if you go out on social media, be cognizant of that everybody's looking at your post and your things. You can say it's your right to say what you want to say, but know that people are looking. And one of the first things that we all do is when we hear about a new business or something, we go get on the internet and we look them up. Well, when you have hits that says a lot of negativity about anything, you say, well, I don't want to do any business with that. And we're at the point, as we're discussing Vision 23 and all these other good things that we've got going and potential things, we need to know that our actions will be observed by others, and let's just be respectful. That's at the core of what this is about. It's not taking away anyone's right to say what you want to say, but if you say it, just know that if you're going to say anything, be respectful, and if you're going to say anything that you want to say, and you don't think that and you want to say it in your own manner, and you say it on your own personal social media platform, just know that you will be held responsible for your own actions and your own thoughts, and the city will not take responsibility because we've got to continue to move forward, and we've got to at some point in time we've got to say, hey, look, we need to just treat each other with respect. And like I said, we've seen it on the national stage, we've seen it here in our state, and we just need to make sure that we just treat everybody civilly, and that's the core of this request. And any question? I think I asked Mr. Vincent to review it, and he saw he reviewed it and said that. Well, Mr. Vincent, what did you think about it? I'm sorry, I didn't start that.
So I thought it was very, I agree.
And it does, no council member can be removed, they can, but it can be if anything that comes up that is just out of hand, and just only thing a council member can be done is censured, can't be removed, but any board member that's appointed can be removed if their actions are being detrimental to the city. And I don't foresee any of that happening, but it's just saying I agree to let everybody be treated like I want to be treated. And that's it. That's the core, that's the foundation of that document.
I know these relationships, elected official to elected official, the board members to city office staff, that the office staff has really been taking a lot of hits, and there's no reason for it. They're dedicated, hard work people who are dealing with our Spencer residents with a smile and a willingness to work. And they deserve that.
With that being the case, any other questions?
Seems like the emotion is common sense. Rules that don't necessarily need to be written, but in the sense that perhaps someone doesn't understand, what a good attitude or common sense rules are, or, I don't know. I don't really see a problem with what you have, or whoever came up with this.
And be fair, I wrote it after there was some concern shared about conduct, or not conduct, but interaction. So it needs to be addressed in a nice way. Just treat people the way you want to be treated. That's all. Just common sense.
And Frank, if I might add,
Yes, ma'am.
if I might add something, an axiom they say that a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. So if we, even though we see this, and as Ms. Fair said, we see the common sense of this, even us as council people, I believe that the standard that we hold ourselves to actually rises far above this. If we're hoping to lead, if you will, into this newness, if we're hoping to lead us into the future and be the best that everyone is putting into this, then we really have to look at ourselves.
Amen.
We have to take a real internal view. Look at our individual actions. And see if we've dropped the standard because of our positions. We have to be careful because they are looking at us. And you cannot lead someone when who you are is shouting so loud at them that they can't hear what you're saying. This is good, but I believe we can be better.
Thanks for cleaning that up for me.
I need to say it in other words.
In other words, what she had said.
If we pass this motion, I'd like to have this published on the city website.
The transparency is key.
I think those are words that needs to be put in there, a little more transparency. That we have character and integrity in our dealings. Those are the things that need to be in there. And like I said, this is a great start for you. I'm sorry, this is a great start. But I think we need to get some more meat into this,
Well,
if you will. That's just my humble opinion.
we gotta start somewhere.
Exactly, it's a great start.
Okay, let's start somewhere. Let's start here, then we,
May I ask a question, is this on a honesty policy, or is this like some of the NDA for staff, council, board members?
board members.
Will they sign something?
Yes, yes, there is a signature.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a motion, because we're halfway through, and it's almost 9 o'clock.
I make a motion we approve item 9.9 of code of conduct.
Got a motion and a second, please. I got a motion and a second. Get a vote, please.
Trustee, Member Taylor?
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairman, Vice President?
Yes.
Chairman Ledford?
Yeah. Item number 10, we're going to move from, that's remarks and comments. We'll get the remarks and comments on our next agenda. I'll take a motion to adjourn on item number 11.
Make a motion we adjourn the council meeting.
Got a second, please?
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second, can we get a vote, please?
Trustee Councilmember Craig?
Yes.
Trustee Councilmember Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chairman, Vice President?
Yes.
Chairman Ledford?
Okay, we should be able, okay, we're gonna start our City of Spencer Utility Authority meeting.
Sorry,
This is-
what's the time?
Oh, 8:45, I'm sorry. 8:45. A lot of this should be, relatively quickly. We're gonna call to order the City of Spencer Utility Authority meeting. Today is Thursday, May 20th, 2021. The time now is 8:46 p.m. Can I get a roll call, please?
Trustee Kennedy? Trustee Fair?
Present.
Trustee Williams?
Present.
Vice Chairman Scanlon?
Here.
Chairman Calvin?
3 citizens desiring to be heard, we have nobody. 4 new business, we don't have any new business. Item number 5, our consent docket. 5.1, approval ratification of the joint city Council on Utility Authority meeting minutes from May 18th, March 18th, 2021. 5.2, approve ratification of the April 2021 bi-weekly payroll and accounts payable. 5.3, approve ratification of contract with City of Midwest City for an animal welfare agreement. Can I get a motion on that?
I make a motion to approve the consent docket.
Second, please.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can you give a vote, please?
Trustee Fair,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Abstain.
Vice Chairman Scanlon,
Yes.
Chairman Howard.
Yes. Item number 7, our business agenda, discussion and consideration of possible action on business items to direct staff to take appropriate action. Item 7.1, discussion and approval of audit from L. Franklin Associates. I'll make a motion, please. 7.1.
I make a motion to approve item 7.1, the audit.
I'll second that. Can I get a roll, please?
Sorry.
Oh, the 7.1.
The motion? Okay, I heard second.
I make a motion,
Yes, I'm sorry.
I make a motion to approve agenda item 7.1, the audit by L. Franklin Associates.
I'm not saying it. Okay. So just trying to move this along, some of the stuff that we already did.
Trustee Fair,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Scanlon,
Yes.
Chairman Howard.
Yes. Item 7.2, discussion and approval of people and company as auditors. I'll make a motion, that we approve, people and the company as auditors. Can we get a second, please?
Second.
Trustee Fair,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Abstain.
Vice Chairman Scanlon,
Yes.
Chairman Howard.
7.3, project consultant update, smart meter, Infomark transition, wastewater, wastewater improvement.
Mayor, I only have about an hour and a half report to give you, so if you'll just, we've already talked, we've said all we can say about smart meters, nothing to say there. Infomark transition, we're going quite well. We're meeting almost weekly, sometimes twice a week with Infomark on various issues that are being discovered along the way. One of the things that it's taking place immediately, those of you who have seen the well houses, you walked in, you got to see a lot of rust on the pipes, you saw deterioration of pumps, you saw in one corner 6 or 7 pumps that were just piled up. Every one of those pumps are being changed out. The new pumps have longevity. The old pumps had no longevity. They last about 3 months. So in visiting with the city manager and visiting with Infomark, we believe it's in the best interest of the city to replace all 4 units, and they're about $700. And that eliminates 2 issues. Number 1, you stop wasting chlorine. So you're going to start seeing a savings in chlorine purchases because these things are highly monitored and the range of operation is very, very precise, which under the old system, it's not. The other issue you're going to notice, you're not going to see the deterioration of the well houses like you've seen in the past. All of these systems are being moved outside of those well houses. So 10 years from now, we'll go back for another tour, and you will not see the pipes literally rusted. So those are 2 great things. The other thing that's happening is all the electrical work as approved by council is moving and progressing as in according with their plan, their strategy. We're getting we're finding a lot of situations, for example, at the wastewater plant where the wiring was 30 to 35 years old. And as you well know, wiring deteriorates. And over a period of time, it'll start arcing and it'll burn out pumps and everything else. That's what happened to your blowers. So instead of having to replace a $15,000 blower, Infomart brought in their electricians. They found out exactly what the problem was. They saved the pump. The blower is fixed, and they're putting the proper precautions in the event of blackouts, power outages, fluctuation of power coming into that plant. And all of those are being put in as precautionary measures, and that we're going to be doing that on every well we have in the city. That's a part of the wiring for the system. The other good news is that the engineer is diligently working and putting plans, specifications together for the renovation of the water towers. For those of you who are new, water towers need to be inspected and renovated every 7 to 10 years. Ours has not been renovated or inspected in 25 plus years. So we're looking at a total renovation of those water towers, getting them back operational, going in, cleaning them, refurbishing them, painting them, repairing them, whatever is needed. And as you well know, 33rd has a leak that'll be fixed. The good news in all of that, we're looking at about $80,000 per tower. $320,000. Now the good news is this: we are anticipating receiving approximately another $600,000 in CARE funding that can go toward the repair of those towers. And that is going to be a major, major accomplishment for the community. The idea behind all of this is to have all your water system and your sewer system absolutely operating at epic range. And that is the goal of Infomart. That's the goal of the city manager. And I can assure you that they are keeping her probably more informed than she may even want to be informed on the things.
I'm talking to Bo right now.
On the things that are needed to keep us in compliance with ODEQ and with the EPA. So that's all good news. And while I'm standing here, I'm just going to go down to 7.4. You're going to get there, but I'll still be able to jump back up here. If you remember, last June, July, we went out for bid because we had concerns about waste management and trash collection in this community. Waste Management came back to us and said, well, it's kind of your fault. We don't have the records. We don't have this. We don't have that. We got to do a field inventory. Yada. Well, I can tell you as I stand here right now, 0 has been done on that field inventory. You heard me. And I can also tell you, because I've talked to the girls out there, they're getting more complaints now than they have in the past on trash collection and big trash days. And recycle bins. And they're having difficulty with Waste Management getting back in touch with them. So that's why this is on the agenda. You gave them a year ago a 12-month extension, and the part of that process was to do the field inventory. And they told you how they were going to do it, and there was nothing to it, and so on. So that contract, your contract expires at the end of August. September the 3rd is actually the drop dead date. But I believe we need enough lead time, because one of the problems, we were really pressing these companies that were going to bid this, that were going to have to furnish this community with all the replacement containers. So the earlier we do this, the more time we can honor. If you want to change companies, then we can give them the opportunity to get that equipment in here, and we'll not face that issue again. So we're asking you on that, when you get to that item, to authorize staff to proceed.
Questions? Real quick, You talked about, getting rid of the powdered chlorine in the well houses and getting rid of the gas chlorine treatment at the wastewater,
Yes.
and that's gonna happen.
Yes. And at the wastewater plant, it's gonna save you right at $250,000 to go with a gas system. It is a very expensive proposition. It has to be compartmentalized with the various chemicals that have to go inside that building. But if you go with the dry chlorine, you eliminate all of that. And you just simply use the 5-gallon buckets and it injects it in there and keeps a steady flow of it. Actually, what's going to happen, you're going to end up with a much better concentration of chlorine than you've ever had before with these new pumps.
I have a quick question, and just because I don't know about this whole chlorine and how it cleans the water and all that stuff, but, over the last 2 or 3 months, maybe, it seems that I smell more chlorine in the water.
Did you see what?
That comes out of my faucet. I don't know if anyone else has that issue or not.
Smell chlorine.
The smell chlorine in the water.
Yes, and and you are smelling it, and the reason you are is because the accuracy of the injectors.
So that's a good thing.
It is well, no, it's not a good thing because it's wasting chlorine and it's costing us more to chlorinate the lines because the flow is not accurate, nor is it consistent.
Based on the system as it is now.
Yes, ma'am.
So once all of this stuff is fixed and good working order, that shouldn't be an issue.
That should not even be an issue. Not at all.
I just seems like I notice it more. I hadn't really before, but now I notice that it almost kind of sometimes smells like some of the Clorox in the water.
Yes. And you're very close to the Donna Lane Tower, so you're getting a super dose. Yes. And one last thing, several have commented tonight about my attire tonight. I just want to say to you that, when you serve $1 million city, you need to look the part. But most important, what you need to know, that these are not new suits. These suits are older than Methuselah, and I couldn't wear them for the past 2 years because I was too fat.
Mr. Long, give me 2 more questions.
Yes.
So we'll have to take the towers offline to refurbish them. They're all interconnected now, so, and booster pumps will keep everything
Yes.
perfect. No one has to do without water.
No.
Okay. On the Infomark transition, and this may be a topic for a longer discussion. Sometimes I see our guys out there, Public Works, run the jetter to unclog the sewer line. I don't know where the line is. Who does what?
Operation, Infomark. Maintenance and operation, city.
Okay.
But that requires an incredibly close relationship. And one of the things that I've talked to the city manager about that we're going to be implementing in the next month or so, you're required by the state to clean your sewer lines on a regular basis. So we're going to need to set up a regular maintenance cleaning of your sewer lines in this city. And that means that truck's going to be running 24/7.
Is it going to hold up? I think it's doubtful. Yeah.
Taking too long. You're taking too long, Mr. Long, to answer that question. He still hasn't.
We're just going to believe it's going to hold up. And then line maintenance is another issue. So there's a lot of joint collaboration that takes place when you're working the treatment end and the line maintenance end, both water and sewer.
Thank you. All right. Okay, 7.3, discussion and approval of change order number 1 to smart meter project at working meter at cost of $58,629.50 Can I get a motion on that, please?
I make a motion, agenda item 7.3, change order 1, smart meter project.
I got a motion, can I get a second, please?
Second.
Got a motion, that's 7.3. Oh, excuse me. Oh, it sure is.
Oh, we jumped.
No, they both say
No, no,
They both say
7.3.
7.3.
Yeah,
that's
So
fine.
7.335 or 7.
It's 7.5, that's 4, it is, on the agenda, it's listed at 7.3. Since it's on the agenda at 7.3, let's go ahead and approve it, make a motion. We got 2 agenda items that at the same time.
Yeah, we're gonna make the motion tied to 7.3, another motion tied to change order.
To make a change order.
All right, I make a motion, we approve, change order number 1, the smart meter project for commercial meters.
Okay, good deal. We got a motion and a second. Do you see that?
I'll just use one.
On the agenda, there's 2 7.3s and it's that second one. Instead of making it to the agenda item, we're making it to the item and not the number.
So, the 58,
Yeah, $58.
okay, that's the one we're on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is again, Mr. Chairman, you said you did the motion, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Sure.
Second.
No, that's fair.
Okay. Ready to vote?
Yes.
Trustee Affair,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Abstain?
vice chairman Scanlon,
Yes.
chairman Calvin.
Yes. Item 7.4 is discussion of bid for waste management trash services. We'll take a motion on that one.
Question, when do we expect to put out our bid, our request for proposal?
After you guys approve it.
Okay, like immediately then?
Yeah.
Beautiful, okay. I have a motion, yeah, I make a motion to approve agenda item 7.4, bid for waste management, replace waste management trash services or.
Okay. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Can I get a roll, please?
Trustee Scanlon,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
vice chairman Scanlon,
Yes.
chairman Calvin.
Item 7.5 to declare old water meters for surplus.
We have had several entities reach out to us as they hear about our meter swap out, who are interested in purchasing our old meters. And as of right now, we don't have a plan to discard of them. And so I'm thinking, why not make some money off of them? I have at least 2 interested parties right now, and I told them that I'm not going to be able to discuss until my counsel tells me that it's okay for us to even put them out for sale.
Have they said what they're gonna do with them?
They're going to use them.
Wow.
Yeah. What's old to us is new to someone else.
You know what they do, they'll go in and completely refurbish those
Mm-hmm.
and sell them to markets that are not in a position to get new systems and new meters.
I make a motion to approve item 7.5, to declare old water meters for surplus.
Got a motion and a second, please.
Second.
Trustee Fair,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
vice chairman Scanlon,
Yes.
chairman Calvin.
Item number 8, remarks and comments. We'll start at the end this week.
None, it's great to be here, my first reading as councilwoman. How exciting it is, and I'm looking forward to working with this wonderful group of people so that we can move us forward faster. That's it. Can you believe that was it?
Oh, I of our council. Glad to be working with you. Just wish, the city of Spencer much success in moving forward and, go Spencer.
Mr. Stan?
I actually want to welcome you, Councilmember Williams. You've got a fiery personality, a strong attitude, you're strong and capable. I think our meetings would be much more lively. I'm looking forward to them.
Ms. Jackson, you have anything?
I just wanna, again, continue to thank you all for giving me this opportunity. I'm really looking forward to the projects that we have, from the meters being swapped out, to the different things that our fire department is doing, and the relationships that we're continuing to build outside of Spencer. There are a lot of interested parties that wanna come in and be a resource, to Spencer, and I just really just thank you guys for giving me the opportunity for doing that. I see great things for our future.
Ms. Thompson? You have anything? Nothing tonight, you're tired, I know, I feel it. Ray, you got anything for us?
I don't think I have anything.
Only 30 more minutes. I declare,
Preach a minute.
the future is so bright for Spencer, Oklahoma. You're gonna have to start issuing Ray-Ban sunglasses to all the citizens.
Thank you, sir.
I love it.
And thank you, Ms. Mary. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking with us. It's been a long ride. Thank you for hanging in there. Ms. Brenda, thank you also for hanging with us, and Corey, thank you for all the love that you do. And our officer, and Mr. Keisha, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys for all your work and dedication. Ms. Williams, thank you for being here and wanting to be a part of this council and help move this city forward. Looking forward to having you help us continue to move forward. Looking forward to it. With that being said, let's get up out of here. Take a motion to adjourn. Motion.
Motion, we adjourn.
We got a motion and a second. How do you want to put it?
Everybody's waiting to get home, good or better.
Yes.
You wanna take me home?
Yes, 9:09.
The carpet.